Oh. Gender criticals, am I right? You don't know what I'm talking about yet. Hey Spuds, how's it going? It's Jamie, welcome back to another video. First video, I don't know, but welcome either way, and I said that so quickly I barely said it right. How's it going? I hope you're gonna enjoy this video. Today we're looking at a gender critical Instagram page that I found. Yeah, and if you don't know what a gender critical is, basically it's just a slightly nicer way of saying a transphobe. They're transphobes who hide it behind a certain view of being feminists and looking out for women's rights, but it's not, they're just transphobes. Think along the same lines as TERFs. I think it's now the newer term because apparently it sounds nicer. And not everybody instantly knows that these people are transphobic. So yeah, that's what we're doing today, just looking at some gender critical memes and perspectives and just having a chat about them, basically, because we do like to dismantle the transphobia. Are you ready? Because I am. Not quite. Hold on. Okay, now I'm ready. A woman is a female body with any personality, not any body with a feminine personality. I feel like somebody thought this was very clever. And I get it. Nice, clever wording. But a woman is not just somebody with what would be considered a female body. Yet, with any personality, there's no prescribed personality. You don't have to have a feminine personality to be a woman. You just have to be a woman. And trans women are also women who don't necessarily have a stereotypical female body and were not assigned female at birth. This is just an alternative way of saying we think trans women are men and trans men are women, but without actually saying it in those words, so they kind of get away with it a bit. And some people would read that and be like, yeah, women can have any personality without realising the transphobic connotations of it. I'm also just curious about the definition of a female body. Like, are we talking primary sex characteristics, secondary, chromosomes? Like, how deep are we going here? Wake me up when women aren't having to justify their need for male-free spaces. Wake me up when the transphobia stops. Wake me up when trans women aren't having to justify the fact that they are women and not males trying to invade women's spaces. If you're worried about men in women's spaces, focus on that. Don't focus on trans women who are just women trying to use spaces in society. Like, honestly, you're focusing on the wrong thing here and you're using trans women as a scapegoat. Keep prisons single sex. Hashtag sex not gender. Hashtag not our crimes. Hashtag keep prisons single sex. With 2 X chromosomes, are we going to genetically test everybody going into prison now then? What do we do if people aren't XX, but you would have just assumed they were before testing? If we're going on that basis, and I would assume I have XX chromosomes, but I'm not 100% sure. Does that mean I belong in a women's prison? I don't think so. That's when you're literally letting men into women's prisons. Daily reminder, women come in all shapes and sizes. The only common trait is being female. It's very clever in a way because it's posed as this inspirational message and like, yeah, women do come in all shapes and sizes. They do. Let's share that message. But then it's the only common trait is being female. It doesn't necessarily sound transphobic unless you know that it's meant to be. And trust me, that this is meant to be. Stop putting males in women's prisons. Why have they made a cute little dog hold that sign? I don't think the dog cares. And let's stop calling trans women males. Let's just stop with that. Why? It's just rude. Oh, trans women are women. Hello, just popping in here quickly to talk to you about today's video sponsor, ExpressVPN. You know ExpressVPN. I've talked about ExpressVPN multiple times on the channel before. ExpressVPN is the #1 rated virtual private network service, offering you internet privacy, security, and content unblocking. Whenever you connect to an unencrypted network like at a cafe or a hotel, your information is at risk of being intercepted by a hacker and stolen. But ExpressVPN encrypts your internet connection and makes all of your internet information safe and secure and not possible to be stolen by hackers. And it's not just your internet security, it's also your privacy that can be up for grabs. Did you know that internet service providers can see everything you do online, even when you're in incognito mode? And in some countries, this data that they can see can then even be sold on to ad companies. ExpressVPN stops your data from being harvested and used in this way by rerouting your data through their encrypted servers. Another thing that ExpressVPN allows you to do, and is my personal favorite to use, is content unblocking. Have you ever wanted to watch something on Netflix or any other streaming services, but it's just not available in your country? Maybe you're in the UK and you want to watch a bit of Adventure Time. Bit of a problem, right? Not with ExpressVPN, because with ExpressVPN you can reroute your connection through a server in a country of your choice. In this case, to watch Adventure Time, Japan would be a good choice. Just connect to that country's server and ta-da! You can watch Adventure Time. You're welcome. If this all sounds good to you, find out how you can get 3 months for free by clicking on the link in the description box or going to expressvpn.com/Jammidodger. Now back to the gender criticals. Oh yeah, we love it. Not really, but let's go. Things that don't make you a woman. Feeling like a woman. Identifying as a woman. Looking like a woman. Being feminine. Things that make you a woman. Being a human female. It's all about excluding trans women from women's spaces. And this next one, things that don't make you a man, it's also about calling trans men women. So things that don't make you a man, feeling like a man, identifying as a man, looking like a man, being masculine. Things that make you a man, being a human male. But I want to know the definition they're using of female and male. Because if it's chromosomes, that's very muddy and just, not a very clear-cut thing to use. But then nothing is, because my birth certificate says male. So although they wouldn't want me to be considered as a man, I am a human male everywhere. Like, look at all my legal documents. Accepting yourself as you are is the most radical thing of all. Do you know what? I agree with this one, but not in the way they meant it. I accepted myself as I am. As a trans person. That's who I am. And I accepted that. And I didn't want to change myself from being a trans person. Because you can't. You can't make yourself not be trans. Like, you can't make yourself not be gay. I am trans and I accepted who I am. Dear NHS Trust, here's a list of all the things I'm not. I'm not a vulva. I'm not a vagina. I'm not a cervix. I'm not a menstruator, lactator, incubator, child curator. Okay. The basis of all of this is where we're now using more inclusive language, which by the very nature of it, inclusive language can't exclude people, and where we're seeing things like people with cervixes or pregnant people. So actually, really, the thing should just be, here's a list of all the things I'm not. Apparently, I'm not a person, because gender criticals and other transphobes keep saying, don't say I'm a person with a vagina or a pregnant person, I'm a woman. And it's like, what, so you're saying women aren't people then? I've not actually seen people actually reduced to being called a vulva or a vagina. That seems to be more what inclusive language is actually getting away from. We're not just reducing being a woman down to the parts you have. We're saying that there's a spectrum of people who can have these experiences and these bodies, and that's not all you are, but we're going to be inclusive of everybody who can have those parts to make sure that everyone gets the correct medical attention. I don't really understand why that's a bad thing. Stop telling they've made a fake Hollywood sign for this. It's really long. It doesn't work when it's more than one word. Stop telling women it's transphobic to care about female issues. That's not what people are saying is transphobic. People are saying it's transphobic to say that trans women are men and that trans men are women. There's just so many layers of either accidental or deliberate misunderstanding of what people are actually calling out and saying that's transphobic, and what these people are then claiming they're doing. It's like, oh no, we're really just like innocently doing this one thing. Oh, behind the scenes, yeah, trans men are women, trans women are men, trans people don't deserve equal rights. That's what they're really doing, and then they're putting out this message of like, oh, we're just concerned about female issues. Hint, hint, underlying message of transphobia. Women have had to fight for all the rights we have today. If men who think they're women want their own spaces, they're perfectly capable of campaigning for themselves. What has it got to do with women? It's not our responsibility. They're not having our spaces. Oh, it is true that women have had to fight for their rights. It is true that women still face inequality in society. It is also true that trans women also face the discrimination and inequalities of being trans women. If we're talking about workplace inequality, a trans woman applying for a job is at best going to be treated the same as a cis woman, which in many cases is not equal to cis men, and at worst is going to be treated as a trans woman, which could easily see her not get the job or get fired from her position. So yes, women have had to fight hard for their rights, but shutting the door on trans women is not the right way to go about things. And do you also really think that trans people haven't been fighting and campaigning for their rights for years. Let's not get into that. Trans activism erases lesbians. Well, only when you choose to erase all the trans women who are lesbians and say they're not, and then start thinking that all trans men are actually lesbians that have run away from being lesbians. That's when you might kid yourself into thinking that trans activism erases lesbians, but in reality, it doesn't. It just doesn't. I've tried to read explanations of why people think like this, and I just don't understand it. It does not make sense to me. Hashtag. I was called TERF because I said that there is no such thing as a lesbian with a penis. Well, that's because you're saying that trans women, before having bottom surgery, cannot possibly ever be lesbians. So it's a bit transphobic. Everything is transphobic. And then the caption is, everything must be taken away from women. Everything on this page is transphobic. I don't know when it happened that trans people, particularly trans women, are now being blamed almost solely by certain people with certain transphobic views for women's inequality and for rights being taken away from women. Although they say females, it's very unusual for them to say women when being transphobic. How peer contagion may play into the rise of teen girls transitioning. Ugh. By Abigail Schreier. Just a teen girl. Oh. She's talking about trans guys there, which is why I'm shuddering at the whole teen girls thing. Peer contagion. This is rapid onset gender dysphoria. We know that's debunked. The WPATH have said it is not. It is not a recognised thing at all. It should never be used in diagnosis. It's just not a real thing. But yeah, that's the last one. Thankfully, we're done. We did it. We made it through the page. Let me know what you think of that. Remember, kids, gender critical is just another word for transphobe. If you like this video, think about giving it a thumbs up and subscribing if you want to, but no pressure. And yeah, as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Much love. Bye.